Welcome to Lighting the Old Paths broadcast, the ministry of Lighthouse Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia, with Pastor James Burke. We're glad you've joined us today and trust that this time in God's Word will be a help and a blessing to you.
Next, we see what meekness is. Meekness is when the believer is submissive to the will of God and is unselfish in the light of the needs of others. I went to church with an older man, and he would say this phrase often, and he would say, "I'm going to prefer my brother over myself," and that's biblical. That's biblical. You prefer your brother over or before yourself. That's kind of the idea of meekness. Listen to this quote again. When the believer is this is twofold. When the believer is submissive to the will of God, that's one side of William Barclay's definition. He said it is being submissive to the will of God. When God says to jump, we say, "Yes, sir." How high? Where do you want me to go? I gotta go back to Abraham in Genesis chapter number 12. God said go. He said okay. And what did He say? What was said about him? It was counted unto him for righteousness. So, if we're going to be meek or have this meekness, we have to be submissive to God's will. And I know we don't like to hear this, but we gotta be submissive to God's will no matter what that may be. I'm going to help you. No matter when that may be, and no matter where that may be. You see, the second aspect of Barclay's definition tonight is this. He said meekness is being unselfish in light of the needs of others. One thing I have done my best to do, and I fail at this, is to try to find the needs of others. To be looking for needs of others. I was with someone the other day and he looked at somebody's vehicle and they said, "They need this." I'm like, "What do you do? Just go around the parking lot and you look at people's..." He said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "If I can help them, that's what I want to do." And I thought, okay. So then I started walking through the parking lot and I started seeing things that needed to be done. We can brag on that if we're not careful. But that's the idea of meekness, is that you see someone else's need and you put their need above your own. Okay? So what is meekness? Alright? Listen, I'll email you this outline if you want it. Listen. We also see that meekness is a grace of the soul, which consists in habitual submission to the dealings of God. Habitual. What the root word here is habit. Sometimes we have habits. Most of the time a habit is a bad habit. Let's be honest. Most of the time it is. But here it says that meekness is a grace of the soul which consists in habitual submission to the dealings of God. You make it a habit to submit. How did we close our meeting last night? Out of James, "Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you." Every day we need to have a habitual submission unto God and His will. This writer went on to say that this arises from a sense of God's greatness and man's own littleness. Hence, the meek will regard all the insults and wrongs inflicted by men as permitted by God and a part of His discipline. Meekness is, remember the title? Is meekness unpopular and misunderstood. Being meek is not popular. The reason being is because people have that attitude that meekness is weakness, but it's not. So meekness is also seeing yourself as small compared to God, but it is also taking the oppression that is allowed by God and provided to us by men. We also see that meekness is the other side of faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's on one side of the coin, if you will. There's belief unto action. On this side of the coin that we're looking at now is submission to God. Meekness is the other side of faith. It is the self-repression in view of the claims and needs of others. Again, that is putting someone else above you. It is the charity. You look over in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, you see charity. People talk about love out of that particular chapter right there. It is charity. It says, it is charity which seeketh not her own, looketh not to her own things, but to the things of others. For her, charity, self is of no account in comparison with Christ and His kingdom and the honor of His brethren. What is the very first thing that we're given here in verse number 22? Love, charity, charis. Do we need to go all the way back to there? We can't go back 10 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago. We can't do that. This writer said that faith is on the other side of meekness. And as a result, it mirrors charity. I love that last statement. For her, for charity, self is of no account in comparison with Christ, His kingdom, and the honor of His brethren. Anybody know who Aristotle is? Now I'm going to tell you, I don't go looking for quotes by Aristotle. Alright? Never met the fella. Probably wouldn't recognize him if I saw him. Somebody help me right there. But Aristotle defined meekness as the mean between excessive anger. This one got me. It is the mean between excessive anger and excessive angerlessness. The quality of the man who is always angry at the right time and never at the wrong time. That's meekness. You think about it. You know anybody that somebody would say, well, they don't say much, but when they speak, you listen. That's meekness. I've never seen him mad but once. And he had every right to be. That's meekness. There is a median, if you will, between excessive anger and excessive angerlessness, or the lack of anger. That's where meekness abides. Meekness is, and I gave this to some of our men this morning, meekness is distinctively a Christian virtue. It is given to us by the what, somebody? Spirit. Who has the Spirit? Christians. Y'all been in church a long time, y'all better know these answers. It is the Spirit that dwells in the Christian. A lost man does not have the Spirit living in him. Therefore, he does not have the fruit of the Spirit. By that definition, he does not have meekness. It is a distinctively Christian virtue. It denotes patient endurance in which the spirit of humility refuses to let one's pride gain the upper hand. It is meekness that slides between our desires and our pride and joins them together. Because a man will will beat on his chest and say, look what I have done. Look what I have accomplished. But meekness, on the other hand, meekness will realize that it came by the hand of God, not by ours. Brother Fred Russell, he wrote this. I think he got it from Warren Wiersbe. I don't know where Warren Wiersbe got it. But he said that this meekness is the right use of power, or power under control. Power under control. He went on, he gave a little quote here. It says, it has been said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. There's some folks, even Christians, that have power, but they're not demonstrating it in the way that they should. What did he say? It is the right use of power. Number 2, how is meekness exhibited? I'm going to give you these. Try to go in a hurry. I realize I said that 20 minutes ago. How is meekness exhibited? Number 1, in response to God's dealings, it is exhibited in lowliness. Ephesians chapter number 4, verse 1, 2, and 3, it says, I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with longsuffering, forbearing one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. We are to walk worthy of the vocation with what? Lowliness and meekness. In response to God's dealings, meekness is exhibited in lowliness. It's also exhibited by listening in James chapter 1, verse number 19 through 21. It says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity and naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. We are to receive, we are to listen with meekness to the engrafted word. That is, you could go back to Acts chapter number 1. And you could see why this word is, or not Acts chapter 1, John chapter number 1, Acts chapter number 2. You could see why this word is considered in James an engrafted word. But we were grafted in by the blood of Christ.
Thank you for listening to Lighting the Old Paths, the radio ministry of Lighthouse Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia, with Pastor James Burke. We trust today's message from God's Word has been a help and a blessing to you. We invite you to visit Lighthouse Baptist Church. Our service times are Sunday school at 10 a.m. and Sunday at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. For more information, visit www.lighthouseswga.com or write Lighthouse Baptist Church, 817 U.S. Highway 280 West, Plains, Georgia, 31780. You could also email pastor@lighthouseswga.com. God bless you. Until next time.